To be vulnerable to your spouse, you have to trust that they're going to take that with some care and consideration. So, and you should never repeat the same argument twice, man. Like, you know, and I'm saying that to say, like, if there's an issue, you should resolve it.
Yeah.
What would you say was like one of the hardest things in getting to become a doctor?
It's a lot of steps, man, and it's a tightrope.
It's very important that for us, anybody that's married or potentially about to be married, to understand what it is to be in a relationship.
Yeah, man.
And not being selfish. I know me for a fact. I have been selfish even when I didn't know I was being selfish. And that's the thing.
Yeah, we crossed it. We about a year or so ago, we crossed that point where we've been together over half our lives.
Wow.
Yeah. If you pick the right woman, if you pick the right person to be with, and y'all are, you said the vows and you said all the stuff and you believe what you said, then that's what the journey is.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? The journey is having the hard conversations, having the times when you're like, yo, I'm in the wrong.
Yeah.
Or am I in the wrong? Like some say, yo.
Hello world. Welcome to another episode of Generational Health and Self-Love. I'm your host, Life.
Ron Easy.
And today we have a very special guest in the building. We have with us no other than Dr. Neil Lewis. Come on up, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have Dr. Neil Lewis in the building with us, and today we just gonna focus on what we always do, on health and just overcoming different challenges in our lives. So before we get started, do you want to say something, son?
I think this one is gonna be interesting because you in the field of being a doctor, so health and wealth. I mean, health and self-love. This is gonna be definitely interesting to dig into the whole aspect of that.
Definitely. So I just want to say to all the viewers out there, like, share, and comment. And if you have any questions about the conversation we have, please feel free to get in the comments and ask your questions because we will answer back. And so, Doc, I just want you to introduce yourself to the people and give us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Originally from Georgia, grew up here my whole life, from east side of Atlanta, Latonia. And so from this area, I'm a board certified family physician. I work with Emory. So I do mostly outpatient setting stuff now. Okay. So see patients, your typical go to the doctor's visit, I'm that guy. So when you go to the doctor, you're probably seeing me or somebody like me. So that's kind of what I do. I went to Xavier University, Louisiana, undergraduate, so HBCU, so down in New Orleans, and went to med school in the Medical College of Georgia, which is in Augusta. Finished there. Did my residency in family medicine down in Albany, Georgia at Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital. And so I did that. That's a 3-year. So family medicine, which is what I am in. So after you do your 4 years of college, medical school 4 years, and then you do your residency program. So depending on what field you want to go into determines how long that program is. So for family medicine, it's 3 years. So that was done in Albany, Georgia. And then after that, I worked as a hospitalist. And so what that is basically I worked strictly in the hospital. Okay. So kind of exact opposite of what I'm doing now.
Right.
So that point, it would be where if you came to the hospital with pneumonia or pancreatitis or heart attack, your typical family doctor doesn't go see you in the hospital, right? So you have been sick before, been in the hospital, you probably didn't have your local doctor come see you.
Yeah, right.
You would have another doctor working there. So that's called a hospitalist. And so that's what I did for about 5 years. So I worked strictly in the hospital. So was only taking care of the patients when they were sick enough to be in the hospital. So you came in with pneumonia, I took care of your pneumonia, got you squared up, healed, send you back to your doctor. So I did that for about 5 years and kind of got a little burnt out with taking care of people towards the end, right? Kind of being more on the tail end of their health. So I kind of wanted to switch and do more preventative stuff and kind of come into the front lines as opposed to a little different timeline of when people can get sick. So kind of transitioned over to doing outpatient medicine from that, and I've been doing that for close to 9 years in the clinic I am now.
So do you have a bunch of siblings? Because was it like that, like you had different symptoms that somebody became a doctor, somebody kind of like a firefighter or something. Like, how did you have it? Like, well, are y'all like high achievement, or was y'all like?
So I have two brothers. One brother is a lawyer. But nobody in my family is medical. So
Okay.
nobody in my family does anything medical. My parents aren't doctors. There were no doctors in my family. So it's just kind of something that I always wanted to do. My younger brother's got some health issues, so he's disabled. There's nobody before me. It was kind of something I always wanted to do as a child, ever since I was a kid, really.
So when do you think you realized it? Is there a point do you remember you was like?
It was
okay.
kind of, yeah, I get asked that a lot. And,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things was like, I think, I always wanted to be a doctor. I was really good in the STEM stuff. So like science, technology, math, I was always good at. So I always was a self-fulfilling thing. I want to be a doctor, but I was good at science. And I want to be a doctor, I was good at science. So and my parents were really good at kind of fostering that. And so, yeah, I always wanted to be a doctor and just kind of had the blessing, the gift to get there. So
If you don't mind, can you take us back to your earlier years? Like, how was life for you growing up?
it's good. So like I said, grew up in Latonia, Stone Mountain, Decatur area, kind of east side of Atlanta.
Okay.
Did all my school in public school. So
Okay.
did all my school in there.
Parents throughout your childhood?
Yes, yeah, both parents
Yeah.
still living. Both parents talk to them every day. So still close to my
That's
mom and my dad.
Yeah.
Very, very strict with education.
Yeah. And how many kids were in the house growing up with you? Just you and your two brothers, or
Yeah.
so it's three all
Yeah,
together?
me and my two brothers. So
Okay.
I'm the middle child.
Okay.
So
Now,
I
how
have,
was that?
that's one that I had to compare it to, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. So two brothers, older brother who I actually just saw. He was
Okay.
my last patient of the day. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I just saw my older brother as my patient. So it's kind of dope, you know.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, so he's my older brother and I got a younger brother. Like I said, we're about 2 years apart. So we
Okay.
were pretty close. It was all of us together. So yeah.
Yeah. So when you you went through public school, and so when did you decide? Like you said, I know you said you always wanted to do it, but when did you decide to take being a doctor serious? Like,
I think it was pretty early.
Okay.
If you asked me from the time I was probably could say what I wanted to do to I became a doctor, I wanted to be a doctor. Really, there was nothing else I really didn't want to do. And so, and like I said, my mom and my dad were very good at kind of keeping that inspiration going. I didn't really have and the other thing was kind of dope too is, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but as a kid, I had a black doctor. So my doctor as a child was a black male doctor. So, and then living in Atlanta, it's not uncommon to see black doctors everywhere. So I had that kind of reinforced as well. And like I said, I went to high school. I went to Southwest DeKalb, and I was in the High Achiever program, which is kind of more science, math, and I did well in that. But I think the real, you kind of like the most important part of my becoming a doctor was definitely college.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was probably the most important 4 years in kind of getting me to where I needed to go long term. Yeah.
So what would you say was like one of the hardest things in getting to become a doctor? Like,
It's a lot of steps, man, and it's a tightrope. And so you really don't. Well, I'd say you really don't know how hard it was until you get to medical school and you realize how easy it was for other people. So, you kind of have your path laid out for you, and it's a pretty straight path, and you kind of got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to, in this sequential order. Can't skip any steps, and if you fall off one step, that's it. And you kind of think that's how everybody has it. You get to medical school and you realize, well, they're third generation.
all right.
Their
Oh,
great,
yeah,
their great granddad
yeah,
was
yeah.
here. They went to school with
Yeah.
the doctors who are teaching us. They went to school with, and they got we're paying with loans, and their parents bought them a house and they moved here. So you really don't realize that part until you get to the end. And you look back, you're like, oh man, my path was a whole lot harder than theirs was. It's like. It's like we crossing the bridge. You on a real stable thing, but I'm on one of those little.
Shaky.
We get to the end and we both made it. And they're like, hold on, you skipping across the bridge. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here and I'm holding on dear life. You know what I mean? So that was something I really didn't realize. I think was a blessing because if you stop and try to do that, I think you'll be discouraged.
Wait,
Yeah.
okay, so what college did you say you went to?
So I went to Xavier University of Louisiana.
Okay.
So it's HBCU, and so
Xavier is?
yeah. So there's two Xaviers, and that's a
Okay.
common. So there's Xavier in Ohio.
Okay.
That's the one you see on March Madness and playing basketball.
Okay,
That's
okay.
not us. So then the other Xavier
It's
was
in Texas, right?
Louisiana.
you just said
New
Louisiana.
Orleans. So it's in
Okay,
New
okay.
Orleans. So
Okay.
and Xavier is actually, you know, it's a historically black university, but it is the top school in the nation probably since the early '90s in getting black people into medical school.
Wow.
So you know, so that was the kind of the thing that really. It's like you have a black kid, he's in high school, he wants to be a doctor, send him to Xavier.
Okay.
So the story is that actually my mom, my junior year in high school, had to get hysterectomy, and she had a black doctor. And so my dad and mom talking, and I think he went to Morehouse actually, and he told my parents like he needs to go to Xavier.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of even got the bug in my ear. And so then going to Xavier, like I said, they have a whole pre-med program. They have all the tools and resources, and it's still like that. And actually, just as of 2 weeks ago, they're going to have their own medical school. So it's going to be it's only only third HBCU well, fourth because it's one in California, but fourth HBCU medical school. So
So when you was going, well, I guess it helped to go to HBCU too to be in
Oh,
that
absolutely.
school. I definitely
Yeah.
think because I was about to ask you about the challenges, but I'm sure it still was challenges. But were there any times that you doubted, or it's like, you know, why am I even? Is this really what I really want during your time in college? Was it time that you felt like?
I never doubted whether or not this was the time that did. I never doubted that.
Okay.
You know, I have friends who did.
Yeah.
And so that's not an uncommon thing.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But
Yeah.
for me, thankfully, it was kind of always, you know, I thank God every day, like I'm doing the job that, you know, not many people can sit there and say they're doing what they want to do as a kid.
From the
So
jump.
from the jump,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, not many people can say that. So I kind of just, my steps have been ordered in that way where this kind of always worked out. But, you know, now we talking about challenging universities,
Yeah.
you know, that happened in medical school.
Okay.
So the medical school was when it hit the fan.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That was a really, really,
That was
really.
after leaving Xavier.
Right, after leaving Xavier, yes. After leaving Xavier.
So you didn't have any distractions at Xavier? I was wondering because you know when people get to college, they start to get,
Live a little bit,
Yeah.
so to speak.
So it's a good, well, yeah, you balance it out. You
Because
balance it out.
you know what?
Yeah.
That was a good question because it made me think about. I wanted to ask, like, it takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah,
Where
it's
did
a-
you get the discipline from to even stay the course? Those are your dad, your parents have
Both.
that structure.
Absolutely, both my parents. So both my parents were first generation college students.
Okay.
My dad grew up on a farm in Arkansas. My mom grew
Wow.
up in Orange Mountain, Memphis.
Wow.
So you know, you kind of they really were. You know, you learned through observation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Seeing
Yeah.
my parents, seeing my do what they do, see them working, see them balancing having 3 kids and still being there. Like my dad coached me in basketball, coached me in baseball. My mom didn't have any daughters, but when she went to the basketball rec league we were at and saw the cheerleaders need a cheer coach, she became cheerleading coach.
Okay.
Never coached cheerleading in her life, and so that was like so kind of seeing them. Having an older brother who
Yeah.
was successful and kind of seeing his steps, and then having a good peer group,
Yeah.
being around
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that you know are, and that's where college really helped me out because like I had a really good peer group of
Yeah.
like all my friends from college are all doctors.
Yeah.
You know, like I had, I had, my wife went to Xavier. She's a doctor. You know what I'm
Wow,
saying? So,
congratulations.
so yeah, so it was. I think the most important thing is, I think maybe take home message is put yourself around people who are
trying to do the same thing.
who are going in who are going in the same pathway.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really is important, especially when you're trying to do something that hasn't been done before. Like if you're in a position where you're trying to kind of, having people around you who are lifting you up and are kind of we're on the same path, we're going through this together is super important. And I think that's where the HBCU experience is a little more unique because you're just surrounded by people. Like I remember calling my dad and be like, I was considered a nerd in high school, and like all my friends were the same. We're all wired the same way. We're all focused and everything, And so it was funny. We got up with a couple of my friends this past like a month ago, and out of 5 of us, 4 of us are MDs, and one of them is got a master's of public health, and we're all, but we know she was from 18. You know what I'm saying? So, and we the same dudes that went to parties together that, did all the stuff that, we can't talk about, fear of statute of limitation.
You said something real key, and I hope that the audience is listening. He said, finding a good peer group. That's something, I never heard nobody say that. I know people say you want to hang around people, but just those words, a good peer group. Like people that's your age, that's doing the things that you're trying to do, it's so key because that can be a determining factor in which way you go.
Absolutely.
So that's probably maybe the biggest thing you want to do is have the right people around you because without them, success is going to be distance from you.
And it's not a straight line, you know what I'm saying? So having lifting people up, have people lift you up.
Yeah.
And shared experiences, and that's something you really can't, you can't manufacture that.
Yeah.
And I think for me, being at HBCU just put me around men, women, who just were all in the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you finally made it to medical school, and now you say you face
Yeah, so
things.
after your 4 years of college, you take something called the MCAT, which is kind of like your entrance exam. It's the SAT for medical school. Okay, so it's a test you have to take. Do that, did well, and then I was kind of like done a lot of stuff in college, so I kind of had got to medical school, which for a lot of people was very tough. It was very easy for me.
Yeah.
So so the way, let me back up. So the way it works is, you take the MCAT, you have your grades, you fill out your application, and then you send out your application to all the schools you want to go to. It's kind of like a clearinghouse. So one big application, and then you just pick which schools get your application, right? So those schools will review your application, and then they will grant you an interview or have you do a secondary application, something like that. So I applied to a bunch of medical schools. Based off my grades and my GPA, I had a really so I was really good. So I got into pretty much all medical schools I got into were some of the prestigious ones. I got into Emory.
Okay.
Got into Harvard, actually.
They said Emory is one of the most expensive ones.
One of them. I got into the most expensive medical school, which is George Washington in D.C. Got into that one. I said, got into Harvard and got into a couple other medical schools.
You went to all these, or you was accepted?
I got accepted into.
Okay.
Yeah, I got accepted into.
Which one did you decide?
So I decided on Medical College of Georgia.
Okay.
For a couple reasons.
Emory?
No, so Medical College of Georgia.
That's the name of it.
That's the name of the school. Yeah, it's the State Medical School of Georgia.
Okay.
And so at that time, that's what it's probably changed the name now, but that's what it was when I went to. So one of the reasons was, close to home.
Okay.
Also, they gave me a scholarship, and then also it was at that time my girlfriend, who's now my wife, we both got into the same school.
Okay.
So made that decision that we wanted to, go to medical school together just to make that work. And 19 years of marriage later, it was a good call.
Congratulations.
Good call.
19
this year.
19 years of marriage later.
Yeah.
Went to the same school.
Yep.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
So it's a good call, so I don't regret it. Yeah, good call. So I went to medical school kind of doing great in college and thinking that everybody was going to support me like they did in my HBCU. So thinking that I was going to have the same support in medical school that at HBCU. Not quite. Well, it's not my experience. So first years of medical school, for me, first year of medical school are kind of like just classwork, right? So you're not really doing a lot of patient contact. You're not really doing a lot of stuff like this. What you're doing is you're doing, just kind of classwork, right? So same old, just like whatever. So to get from your second year of medical school to your third and fourth year of medical school, which is where your clinical rotations are, that's when you're in the hospital doing those kind of things, you have to take a test.
Yeah.
The test is called they're called steps, but step one is the first test. Okay, so you have to pass step one in order to get to the hospital setting, right? So they give you about 6 weeks to study.
Yeah.
Okay, in that 6 weeks, I actually took 2 weeks and did a mission trip to Kenya. So I don't regret that. That was dope.
Yeah.
But when I took step one, I actually didn't pass it. So I failed it by 4 points. So, the first they were like, cool, no worries, don't worry about it, you good, just study forward,
Yeah.
and we'll do whatever. So now the interesting thing about so when you're third, fourth year rotations, you're doing what's called clinical rotation. So you'll do 6 weeks of surgery, and you'll just go. You'll be following the surgeon around, doing all the stuff,
Yeah.
all kind of stuff, learning surgery. At the end of that, you'll get a test. Then you'll have to do neurology or internal medicine or something like that. You're kind of going through different specialties. So once I didn't pass step one, they were like, okay, well, we're going to pull you off of your rotations, and you just study for your test. No worries.
Yeah.
When you pass it, we'll put you back on.
Right.
Cool. Study for the test. Okay. Take it again. Missed by 2 points. So then they pulled me off the rotation. And they're like, okay, this is what it is. We're going to take you not only off the rotations, we're going to disenroll you.
Wow.
And so you have to pass the test a third time,
Yeah.
Or you're gonna be out the school.
or you out.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about diversity, so like when you mentioned, when did I know? I knew my whole life,
Yeah.
right? But the funny thing was, so I had to meet with all the suits, all the higher ups.
Yeah.
And we're in the boardroom, conference room, everybody's around me, and I'm sitting there, and they're kind of going over my tests, and they're not making eye contact with me. It's a bunch of white people, honestly, and they're just, not really making eye contact. They're not really and I remember being in the room and looking at them and realizing, like, in my mind, like, they don't think I'm smart enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time in my life I had been in a room where they didn't think I was smart. My whole life, I was a straight A student, in elementary school, middle school. I'm one of all the banners and certificates. Went to college, doing well there. Got into all the medical schools, doing well there. So this was the first time I'd actually ever been in a moment where I was like, yo, they don't think I'm smart enough. Yeah, it's like they don't care. They don't care whether I pass or fail. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, all right, cool.
How did that make you feel though? Once you realized that?
It made me. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it
okay.
felt me felt like. I didn't doubt. I was like,
Okay.
yeah. It's like, okay,
I like that.
yeah. So I was like, I'll show you, because actually the way it works is, so this is kind of a little bit in the weeds here, but long story short, when I found out the second time I didn't pass my test, I was on a rotation. So I was doing my pediatric rotation,
Yeah.
and and so it was a 6-week rotation. And I was 5 weeks into my 6-week rotation when I found out. And they were like, we don't think you should finish the pediatric rotation. We think we should pull you off and not take the exam because we don't think you're going to pass it. And I knew my rules. I was like, but if I'm 5 weeks into a 6-week rotation, I can sit for the test. And they were like, we don't want you to sit for it. But I've been studying for it for the whole 5-6 weeks. I'm like, no, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
They're like, don't do it. I'm like, you can't stop me from taking the
Right,
test. Took the test and passed it. It's like, okay. So then, basically, so what happens is that now I'm disenrolled.
Yeah.
So they're like,
After you passed the
I
test.
passed the test, but I still hadn't I passed my pediatric part, but I hadn't passed step one. So I hadn't passed step one. So because I hadn't passed step one, they were like, holler at us when you pass the test. We don't tell you, just take your time,
Yeah.
take step one, pass it, and it will let you back in.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But what they didn't tell me at that meeting was that when they said they disenrolled me, they took away my health insurance, they took away my financial aid, they took away all my money.
All right.
So I'm sitting here just,
Not even knowing that though.
well, yeah, but then I got no money.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting here, I don't have the affluent parents that can pay my bills and do this
Yeah.
kind of stuff and all this kind of stuff. Now I'm living on, so now my budget is completely show, and I got somehow managed to take this test. So, study for the test, third time around, pass it. So I'm like, cool. I'm thinking they're gonna welcome me back with open arms.
Yeah.
Prodigal sons return. Hey, let's let me back in.
Yeah.
Here we go. Well, what happened was, so now the calendar had passed to the point where I was no longer with my class I came in with. I was with the class behind me.
One that just came.
One behind me, right? So now, but what they didn't do was they didn't save me any slots for my rotations. So now I've passed, but I'm like a man with no country. I've passed, but I have no slot to get into any of these clinical rotations. They're all full.
So now you got to sit there and wait.
So, so they would say, well, then I'm thinking, well, make a spot, help me out. No. So what I did was, so what I would do is I would basically I became a hustler. So I would go to, let's say you're over the internal medicine rotation, and you're my dean, and the dean would be like, well, get the internal medicine guy to say okay, and then I'll let you in. And the internal medicine guy would say, well, get the dean to say you okay, and I'll let you in. So I would go to you and lie to you, and be like, well, he said it was cool. And then go to you and lie to you and be like, well, he said it was cool. And then I would walk in the first show the first day, like, hey. And they like, who let you in? I'm like, well, they both said it was cool. And, you know, just hustle my way in. So I'm like, going through medical school, grinding through here, you know, and still trying to learn, you know, and still going through the stress of medical school. I mean, you get into the hospital 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, trying to learn, see all your patients, do this kind of stuff.
And how many different steps are there? Because I remember you said you had one.
So
and
this is
two.
just, so step one is
Okay.
that's the first one. Then after to finish medical school, you take step 2.
Okay.
So in order to graduate from medical school, you take step 2, but that's after your 3rd and 4th year rotations.
Oh.
So you take
okay.
your 3rd year, you do your 3rd year of medical school, do your 4th year of medical school.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, this time I have gotten married, and I had my first son. Yeah.
I'm about to ask, because you in there, y'all went to the same school together.
Yeah, we never do. Yeah, so she had her own stuff, and that's kind of her story. But yeah, so now, so basically, when I told you I took our money away, we had just gotten married right before then. So we basically lived for like 8 or 9 months on the money she had, and the money we got from our wedding. So we basically were just living off of just that.
Yeah.
So how long was that period before you took the third to the
It was probably about, let's see here, good question. I don't remember now. I think I took my, so this I think it starts in the 3rd year of medical school started in June, but you take it before then. So I think I found out like mid to late July that I didn't pass, and then I took it again maybe October-ish, somewhere around there, like in the fall.
Yeah, that's not.
Did find out I passed. That's the second time I found out I passed. So I think in March was when I finally got in and I was good. So I think it was almost a whole year, just because of the time it takes. Because I had to wait. See, when I had to wait to actually have a pass. It takes 5 weeks for the test to come back. So I took the test the 3rd time. I still had to wait for me to get the pass before they even let me walk in the door.
Right.
So that's what happened. So that was my adversity. So now from that point on, I'm a board certified family physician and have never failed another test since then. You get what I'm saying?
What do you think? What do you contribute to failing the test? What do you think? Where were you at mentally at that time?
So interesting. I think the thing, because I did great on the MCAT.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got into Emory, Harvard. I got into every
That's
medical school I
what
applied to.
yeah.
So interesting thing was, you got to think about, that was around 2000, 2002.
Okay.
That was the first test you had to take on the computer.
Wow.
So I spent my whole life taking tests with pencil and paper. And the year I took the step 1 was the first year that they offered it solely on computer. So all my test taking skills that I had gotten from years and years of taking paper tests,
Yeah.
completely, because at that point computers were just for leisure.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing anything work related. You know, this is still dial-up internet days. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't really using the computer like that. So I didn't really understand how to take the test.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fund knowledge. It was just how to take the test, because it was those, you know, the test.
You had to take it that way?
It had to, its first year. You know, and ever since then, because we were the year. We were the year where they said, now it's a computerized test. So this was my first test I've ever taken on a computer before.
So did they do that because they felt like it was harder to cheat?
I
Or
don't
they
know.
just
I think
did
it was
it
just
because
technology. Yeah,
technology
technology.
was
Right.
starting to take over,
Yeah, so
so-
now all the tests are computerized
Yeah,
for the most
yeah.
part. But I think they are.
Dang.
Yeah. So that was my first test I took by computer, and I think that I just wasn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to take the test.
Cause the only reason I asked that because I was just like, you know, like you said, getting accepted to all these different schools
Yeah.
and doing so well. I didn't know if you like maybe just hung out, was hanging out. A little bit
No,
too much,
yeah, man, you
you
got to
know.
med school, you got no time to hang
Yeah,
out, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think it was, that's what I boiled down to. I
That
think
make a
it was
lot
just-
of sense
yeah,
because
it's like if you know, it'd be the equivalent of, you know, you playing basketball your whole day, then Sunday like, all right, now I play right-handed. I'm gonna play opposite hand.
Yeah.
Like, well, I know how to play, but it's a little different. And if you're talking about test questions, every test counts, you know. And there was no practice computer test, so the whole time I've been studying for the test, I've been studying on paper and pencil. So the first time I took a test was on computer, and I wasn't familiar with how to take tests on, you know.
So you met your wife at Xavier, right?
Xavier. They gonna kill me if my parents watch this from it's so it's Xavier. So
Xavier.
yeah, so
Xavier.
yeah,
I said
they'll
Xavier.
everybody I went to school with
Xavier.
would kill me if I don't
Xavier,
correct you. Yeah, so
And so that's unique that you guys did you both come to the medical school in Georgia that same year?
yeah.
Dang. But y'all planned it that way.
Yes.
From Xavier.
Yeah,
Y'all
so we planned
that
it.
way.
So yeah, that whole plan was so absolutely. So so we started dating in college,
Okay.
and
Both of y'all from Georgia.
both from Georgia. She's literally down the street from me.
Ain't
Yeah,
that something?
yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
good.
Yeah,
Did you know her growing up?
no,
But that's
yeah, we grew up 2 stoplights apart from each other.
wow.
And so what happened was we grew up right around the same. We were in the same school district.
Yeah.
But she moved into the area in middle school. She moved into the area.
Okay.
Where in middle school, my parents put me in the magnet program to a different school.
Okay.
So we just crossed paths.
Yeah.
We just missed each other.
Yeah.
But we had a bunch of mutual friends because I played sports with people she went to school with. She went to school with people in my neighborhood. We just never knew each other because we didn't have any reason to have our signals crossed.
That's something else.
Yeah.
And then it's like almost like a fairy tale to kind of grow up in the same area, not know each other,
Right.
and then end up at the same college in a whole nother state.
Yeah, whole other state.
That's crazy. And then leave that state and come back to the state where you from
Yeah.
and go to school there.
Yep.
And then so after you finish what is it called?
Medical College of Georgia.
Med. Once you finish that,
Yeah.
where did you go from there?
So I went down to Albany, Georgia. So that's where I did my residency. So
Okay.
that's at Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital. So that's a community-based hospital.
Okay.
So big hospital for a big rural area.
Yeah.
So that's where I did my 3 years of family medicine training. So family medicine, like I said earlier, was 3 years. So I did that there, and then so did she.
Okay.
So she was there too.
I
Yeah.
was
So
about to ask you
yeah.
that.
So we did what's called so medicine's got a bunch of. It's a real interesting. It's one of those things like when you go through it, like that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like so the way you find out where you're going after medical school is have something called match day.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that when you declare kind of what you want to do. I want to be a family medicine doctor. You want to do dermatology. You want to do radiology, right? You fill out same thing application. Then you send it to programs.
Yeah.
Programs will then have you come in for interviews.
Okay.
And then what you do is after you see all your interviews, you write it down. Now, mind you, we're going through all this and we're married with a kid.
Right.
So we are going through and you go through and you rank the programs. So you rank them and basically say, okay, I picked this program second, this person second, blah, 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 blah. And then the programs took out people they interview and they rank who they like. And then it's secret. And then you apply, then the computer program matches.
Yeah.
That's what called, and everybody in the country finds out on the exact same day what medical school they go to. So that's what's called match day. I mean, register. It's called match day.
Yeah.
So match day is usually in March. It's usually around St. Patrick's Day. So it's like a big party and all this kind of stuff. So everybody,
March Madness.
it's something like that. Yeah. So everybody finds out on the same day
Yeah.
where they're going, and so we did what's called a couples match. So you can do couples match with anybody, but you basically would say we're a package deal. So you got to take us both together. So we picked Albany as our first pick.
Yeah.
Because we want to stay in Georgia, be close to parents, family, all that kind of stuff. So that's where we ended up.
Let me ask you something. You were in college, you were married, and you had your first kid in college,
Medical school.
medical school.
Yeah.
How was that raising a child? Both of you guys being in school. How was that difficult?
Grandparents are great.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Yeah.
And then, so it's interesting. So we get asked that a lot.
Yeah.
And we always jokingly say, I don't have any of this to compare it to.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it would be like to not have a kid. Like, I didn't go to medical school without a kid. So
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to not have,
Yeah.
so. And we had my son in medical school. We had our daughter in residency. So
Okay.
so we had like last year medical school had my son. Last year residency had our daughter. And
In Albany is when you had your daughter. Basically.
Yes.
That was your
Yeah.
residency.
Yeah, that's residency program. Yeah.
And then once you finished that, you was off into basically now.
Right. So then that's what came to the hospital. It's working in the hospital. So then I'm done. So I'm done with all the training part.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you come back to.
Came back here
Atlanta area.
in 2015.
Okay.
So came back
Yeah,
here.
both came back at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did she take the same route that you did as far as being a doctor? She's the same type of doctor that you
She's
are?
family medicine. Yeah. So
Okay.
we actually more coincidence. So we both work for Emory.
Okay.
Both for outpatient clinic.
Yeah.
Our office is about 7 miles apart.
And no, I was gonna ask you, Now, I probably already know the answer to this, but when y'all was in college and y'all was going through all y'all studies and stuff, were y'all competitive? Were y'all?
Not really. Nah, I wasn't really not like that. So she was a chemistry major, I was a biology major, so we didn't have a lot of classes together.
Okay.
So that's one thing.
Yeah.
But really, my undergrad was very. It's not a competitive.
Yeah.
It's a cooperative.
Okay.
Institution. So we want everybody to get on
Okay.
there. So everybody, it's not one of those, we could fight for the same spots.
Yeah.
It's like let's take both the spots.
But I'm just saying, like, okay, like y'all being married, y'all being young still, and y'all going through this. I just could see, like, yeah, you think you going out?
No, actually, it was actually a different level of stress because it was like, let's say, for example, if she did really good on the test, but
Yeah.
I didn't.
Wow. So yeah.
So now she can't really celebrate
The way she
because
wants
you
to.
got to have two people. It's your heart's in two places, right? So now it's like so it's like, well, okay, well, I did well on the test, but you didn't do well on the test. Well, I feel somewhat happy, but then I also feel bad that you did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I don't want to.
So it's just like it's
Celebrate too hard.
Well, it's like you gotta celebrate.
Yeah.
It's like you're that you got a perfect scenario. Both of us
Yeah.
doing well. You know what
So
I mean?
how was it? How was your relationship when you were going through your thing when you didn't pass the test?
It was good, man.
Yeah.
As you know, that's why we've been married so long. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Right.
yeah, so it was. I mean, she held me down. I mean,
Yeah, man,
and
that's
that's it was
And
good.
I asked you that because it's important for people to hear this. When you went through your thing, you said she held me down. She didn't, make you feel bad.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's a difficult time.
Yeah, it
You
could have
going through
been.
that, and that's your dream. And
Yeah,
you saying
you got to think about not even that. Like, I'm also not providing anything financially because I told you I've got no money.
yeah, because
So
they took away your
they
scholarship.
took my scholarship. So now I've got no money, and so the whole we're married now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now we're fresh married.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And so like I've got no financial stake in what we're doing.
right.
And
We have a
I'm in it. Well, not that
Oh,
point, but
okay.
now I'm also I'm one test away
From being out.
from being out.
Yeah.
Done.
Being out. You know what I'm saying? And I was the golden child, the guy that got into medical school quick, got into Harvard, got into stuff, and so now it's like.
Yeah.
So I always joke and tell people like, look, man, we made through medical school, we make through anything.
Yeah.
Like we can, we can get through medical school stronger than we started. Like, there's nothing that we can't handle between the two of us.
And what led? Well, I kind of got an idea, but being so young, being in school, what led to marriage?
Oh, I knew she was the one.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't playing around, man. Yeah. No, I wasn't. No, it was. That was easy. That was an easy
Yeah,
pick.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that was an easy pick. Because
Yeah.
that was my whole. Even my whole decision in going into medical school with her together, like that was because I knew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like people will say, "Well, dang, you got into Harvard. Why did you go to Harvard?" Like I prayed to God to make it very obvious where I should be.
Yeah.
And like I
that's
said,
where you ended up at.
we've been together since the year 2000,
And
straight.
Will you say when you said you knew she was the one? Do you think having both parents played a role in you knowing that?
I think that
The same- 'cause-
I think I always felt that I was going to meet my wife in college
Okay.
because my parents met in college, and
That's-
all
having
my
both-
friends' parents met in college,
Having
and
both
so
parents.
and all my friends,
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me personally, I just always went to college expecting to find my wife.
But you just said something though. You said my parents met in college.
Yeah.
So had you not, you said I can't. If I didn't have that experience, I can't really.
Yeah, I don't know how it would've
having-
been,
But
yeah.
I'm saying, but you didn't have this experience, but your parents did. So you seeing them, maybe that you said I want to be like my
Oh,
parents
of course.
and find.
My parents are still married.
That's what I'm. That's what I'm saying. So having them as an example.
Absolutely, 47 years, almost 48.
Man,
So
congratulations to your parents.
yeah, so and my parents have been, so yeah, I think for me personally, I always felt like now it worked out that way because
Yeah.
I found her. If
Yeah.
I didn't find her, I probably wouldn't have found. Who knows? But yeah, I always.
But
I
that's
took-
what you
but-
wanted. You found
yeah,
that because of what you wanted.
Yeah, my dad gave me, he was like, marry a smart woman.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah.
marry a smart woman, period. He
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
he said, that should be your goal. He said, you find a woman who's smart and that's, you good.
I
And-
love to hear stories like that because they're rare nowadays.
Yeah.
These are rare stories.
And so, like, my wife is so, I've told this story 1,000 times, so my wife won't mind me telling it, but, like, I knew my wife was special, and this is going to sound, because we were watching the movie, and she figured out the end of the movie before I did.
What movie was it?
I can't remember the name. I can remember the movie, but I can't remember the name of the movie. But it was a movie where she figured out the aha moment before I did. So, and that had never happened to me before.
Yeah, like usually
Usually I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
this is what's gonna happen. You kind of figured out before, but she figured out the movie before I did, and I was like, that's never happened before.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And we were just friends at the time. We weren't even dating. We were just
Yeah.
friends watching the movie, and I was like, that's
She the one.
That's
Yeah.
something.
That's something
Yeah.
else. I ain't gonna lie, I come from a totally different background. So to hear this, like I say, I love to hear stuff like that because we need more of that.
Yeah.
And your children, when you sitting around and you telling them about the story of how
Right.
their dad and their mom met, it's only gonna inspire them to do something similar.
Yeah,
You
I would
know?
hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Yeah,
It will. It
Yeah.
will. And if it takes them a little time,
yeah.
they got a good example.
Yeah,
So
but
why
like-
wouldn't it? You
Yeah,
know?
but my wife reads 3 or 4 books a week, man. I
Yeah.
mean, she's one of the smart people I know. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And that to me is why I can respect her so much. You know what I'm saying? In what she does, because I mean, yeah, I went through it as a black man. She went through it as a black female.
Yeah.
So she has her own story, and that was even harder. I mean, she's got stories where she walked in. Now she's an attending physician. She's a full-fledged doctor.
Yeah.
She's teaching medical students. She's teaching a bunch of white male students.
Yeah.
She goes into the room, and the patient starts talking to the med students instead of my wife
Wow.
because they assume automatically that the white guy is the person that she needs to be talking to.
Yeah.
So she's got all kinds of stories about that. You know what I mean? I'm black. I'm a guy. At least
Yeah.
there's something there that I haven't experienced. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So she's got even more nuance and more layers to her story because she's going through. And my wife's not even 5 feet tall. So you talking about? So she's not even like she's just it looks like she's 20. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So at that age, she was even younger. So
Right.
so that was so. Yeah, so that's but you gotta find the right person. You know what I'm saying?
Man, and 19 years later, how many children you guys got
Two.
together?
Two.
Boy
So-
and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
Do you plan on having any more? Or you
No, man. 4 years old, bro. I can't do you, man. That's
He said you done after this.
man. No, I'm good. I'm
So,
good.
so how would okay, after leaving Albany and coming back to Georgia,
Yeah.
you both of you guys got hired at Emory,
Yes.
and both of you guys have been working for Emory
Yeah,
ever
still-
since
yeah,
then.
still since
and your offices are 7 miles apart,
Right,
And
yeah.
y'all do the same
Same thing.
thing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy in a good way.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
This is like for me hearing this, we need a movie. And I mean that for real because
Yeah.
we need to have more movies about good situations.
Yeah.
Not always, he had to go through this. No, we went
Yeah.
through something, but it
Yeah.
wasn't all the other BS.
No,
You know what I mean?
no.
Like, this is a positive story.
No,
Like,
yeah. We've gone through a lot together, but
Yeah.
the main thing is together. Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing something like that? Like what like a book or something like that?
I've been told I should.
Yeah.
I don't know when to. Yeah.
Because I'm listening to your story and
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe it, but I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow, this is dope.
Yeah,
Like, this is,
I've been told that from
Plot
people.
twist.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe I don't know. I'm not one to typically like
yeah.
raise my hand and say, "Hey, look at me." So it's kind of hard
No,
for
I'm
me to
just saying
start.
because
yeah.
you are laid back from what I see.
yeah,
But I feel like just talking to you, a lot of people should hear
yeah,
what you've been through because it's encouraging me just listening to it.
Yeah.
And hell, I feel like I still got a lot of living to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of learning as well because you never stop learning. The more you learn, the more you figure out you don't know nothing.
exactly.
And
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but just hearing that though, and just my son being able to hear that,
Yeah.
it's very inspiring,
Thank
man.
you, man.
Like
Yeah.
I really like that, and I really enjoyed you sharing that with us.
Yeah.
But I do want to continue on and ask, like, now you and Amory, you
Yeah.
and your wife, like, how has that been? Having basically it's almost like your own practice, with your own office.
Yeah, yeah, pretty
facility.
much. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how has that been?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I've been at my office now close to 9 years, almost
Okay.
9 years in like a couple weeks. So it's been nice because, so the difference, between what I was doing before in Albany was I couldn't really establish relationships.
Okay.
You come in with pneumonia, I take care of you, send you on your way. It's it's transactional to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You're not gonna follow up with me later. You may see me at Publix, but you're not gonna.
Yeah.
But now I've been seeing patients for 8, 9 years consistently every
Yeah.
3-6 months.
Okay.
You establish a relationship with people. You come in, you see them, you know them, they know you, it becomes like and this is kind of the beauty of the job I do is because of that. So I got patients that bring me stuff from their gardens. I got
Yeah.
patients that I know well, and so that's so I love it now. You can help them too.
Can you take us through, like, what is a typical day for Dr. Neal? Like, what is a typical day for you?
To start to finish.
Yeah, start to finish. Yeah,
Okay.
I want to know exactly like how it goes.
So this part. So get up early, go to the gym.
Of course, 5 a.m.
So wake up at 4 a.m. to be at the gym at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Work out for an hour and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
Puts me about 6:30. So then take a shower at the gym, head to the office. Office starts first patient 7:30.
Okay.
So I see patients from 7:30.
And what are you seeing these patients for? I know it varies, but what is
you name
everything?
it. Yeah.
Anything you can think of?
I've had patients this week. I've had patients with diabetes, hypertension, syphilis, HIV, ADD, depression, anxiety.
Just this week?
Just this week. Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
So so I typically my first session I see about 20 patients a day total. Typically go from 7:30 to 12, and then pick up at 1:30, and then finish at 4, and then come home, and then it's dad time. You know what I'm saying? So got 18, soon to be 18, 17-year-old son,
Okay.
and a 14-year-old daughter. So
Do you see doctor in any one of their lives?
no,
No.
which is fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
I think my wife and I joke and say we know we're being parents correctly if they don't want to be doctors because they don't feel any pressure. They don't feel the pressure to be a doctor because their parents are doctors. I have a niece and a nephew who want to be doctors, and
Okay.
that's great. And but my son wants to be a teacher,
Okay.
which I think is great. And then my daughter.
Do he know which, like, on what level? Elementary, high school, or college?
Right now he doesn't know.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
But he do want to be a teacher.
That's his dream. And
regardless
so
of-
that's
okay.
his dream, and that's what
Okay.
we want to
No.
make happen for him. So
Definitely.
and that's and so my job is to help him be the best teacher he can be. So that's what he wants to do. So it's typically
So have you been in that field? Like, after you telling me you see about 20 patients a day, that's Monday through Friday? Or
half
Monday
day on
through
Friday.
Thursday?
Yeah, Monday through Friday, half day on Friday.
Okay.
So,
Seeing that many patients, and have any of those patients have become your friends?
Oh, I love him.
Or have you ever cried with a patient?
Oh, yeah.
God,
God, yeah.
sad situations and
Oh,
stuff
man.
like that.
I think most of them are friends.
Yeah.
Most of them are friends. It's hard not to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think most of my patients. I mean, it's kind of I tell people all the time, like I have a job, but it isn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Ooh, I like that.
So I go to my job, but it's not hard work.
Now in Albany, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that I think you were seeing patients when they was kind of like towards the end.
Right.
But now you're seeing patients
Right.
where you're trying to help them prevent, or even
Exactly.
if they have, they ain't towards the end, because that could be difficult getting to know somebody and then they pass.
Yeah, and that's a part of the life I live. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a part of the
Yeah.
job that you have. But it's more like, okay, instead of seeing this patient with end-stage diabetes who's on dialysis and getting amputations and having a heart attack or a stroke, something like that, how about if I can get them 20 years earlier and keep them from ever being that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was really good at doing that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like that's just your quality of life, and quantity of life is
Yeah.
limited. But if I can catch you when you're 35 or 40
Yeah.
and keep you off, keep you off dialysis, or
Yeah.
keep your sugar under control, keep your blood
Yeah.
pressure under control, get you exercising, then we never even had to have that part.
Yeah.
So I kind of got tired of being that guy.
Yeah.
There's a role for that guy, but I felt like I could do just as good of work. Like, instead of you having to, me being a nice doctor, take care of your grandma when she dies, how about I be a nice doctor, took care of your grandma for the past 30 years, and she lives 10 years longer
Give
without
her a
having
better quality of life.
Right.
Instead of
Right.
preparing her to die.
Right. So
Yeah.
I can do both. You know what I'm saying? But I'd much rather be on this end.
Yeah.
And so especially for our people, you know what I'm saying? It's not many black male doctors in primary care in this area.
No.
I got patients that come from Texas.
Wow. Just to see you.
Yeah. I got patients come from all over Metro Atlanta. I'm not, just because the paucity of black male physicians.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And people want to be seen by doctors that look like them.
Yeah.
And
What they think when they see you, they be like, "Doc, you work out?"
I get a lot of that. Yeah,
Doc,
I get a
you
lot of
work
that.
out?
Yeah, I get a lot of that.
Man, you look good.
Yeah, I get a lot of that.
And then you know what though? Your physical appearance, it makes a difference.
Well, and I tell people too, is like, yeah, I think so.
It does.
But
'Cause if I came in your office right now and you was all, I hear you and you a doctor, but
Yeah.
damn, you ain't even.
Yeah.
But then come in there and see you, I'm like, damn, let me see what Doc talking about
Yeah.
because he knows something.
But it's also you understand also not just about how I look, but I understand.
Yeah.
I understand not eating that piece of cheesecake. I understand, waking up at 4:00 in the morning and go to the gym
Yeah.
on days you don't want to go. I
Yeah.
understand, doing so. It's like I understand counting calories and macros and what it means to do those things and see your body change for the positive.
Yeah.
And so I understand that in a way that maybe if you didn't do those things, you wouldn't be able to relate to. So people, can tell me, at first it would be like, well, you don't understand because you look at you, I'm like, do you realize how hard it is for me to, exercise and stuff like this?
Yeah.
And so I think there is a little bit of with the lifestyle I live, I think I can relate to them more.
Yeah.
Where I can say, okay, I know this is a tough part and this will work for me.
Yeah.
Like I've been there where you are, and this will work for me, and so maybe this will help you out.
So knowing what you've been through and how far you come from, knowing from a young age what you want to do, like what would you say to the younger version of you or people who want to be good in that field or just some words of wisdom to get them, to where they want to be?
I would say don't. That's a good question. I think the most important thing to know is that you can do it. And that sounds really kind of like.
That sounds like.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Sounds,
But
sounds
it's
right.
Like, I just, because.
People, you think it sounds too simple?
Yeah, it sounds, because there's so many people who will tell you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's so many reasons why you think you can't.
Yeah.
And there's so many people out there that are going to try to crush your dreams and tell you maybe, or make you settle for something different. You know what I'm saying?
Because you could have gave up when you
Yeah.
fought. You
Yeah.
fought. You could have gave up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So just knowing that you can do it. No matter what anybody says, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like people are gonna try to crush your dreams because they can't do whatever they set out for.
Yeah.
And so I think that was like the biggest thing, and I think that's where looking at my story, I think the way I felt, like I think I had just the aptitude in high school to do well, and so I really didn't feel like the real substance of who I was and where I was going, and who I was. I got that at HBCU. I got that at my college. I got that for 4 years of being around like-minded people, like me. There's a girl I went to college with who is on the Times 100 most influential people.
Wow.
And that's just Rachel. But that's just Rachel to me.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? But she's on the Times magazine, like 100 most influential people. And she
Yeah.
went to HBCU. You know what I'm saying? So I was around people like that. I got friends that have been on, New York Times bestseller list. I got friends, and they're just dudes I went to school with, dudes I call up right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that college is where I became who I am. And college was what gave me, and it was a God thing, you know what I'm saying? But college is what put me in a position that when I did go to Medical College, Georgia, and they were looking at me like I wasn't smart, I knew they were full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like I know who I am. Like I got 24 years of experience, so I'm not gonna let these group of people tell me that they don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? So one of the funny things, like, so my first name is Brian. My middle name is Neil. Right? So I go by Neil. Though.
Yeah.
No one calls me Brian.
Yeah.
No one calls me Brian. No one calls me Brian.
Yeah.
Like my parents.
Not
nobody.
even your wife.
Nobody. But I never was called Brian. Like
Right.
my parents named Brian Neil Lewis. From the day I was born, my parents called me Neil. I'm just one of this is a South thing. You know what I'm saying? So. So the funny thing about that meeting I was talking about, when everybody they kept calling me Brian. I was like, y'all don't even know me, man.
Yeah.
I was like, if you knew me, if y'all really cared about if you knew me, you wouldn't call me Brian.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're sitting here and it's me, I was like, y'all don't even know who I am, man.
Yeah.
I was like,
At all.
so I was like, y'all don't know me, man. That's how I felt. I was like, I'm gonna show y'all. Y'all don't know who I am. So I was like, I was like, I'm Willie Lewis's son. I'm Clarie Lewis's son.
Y'all know who
You know what I'm
I
saying?
am.
I'm a graduate from Xavier University, Louisiana. Like, y'all don't know me, man.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, y'all don't know me.
I love that.
So that was like, it was a God thing. God just told me, like, these people don't know who you talking about. Man.
Yeah.
It's like, these people call you Brian. They don't even know who you are. So it was a joke, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm not worried about y'all.
Right.
Like, y'all not putting me in my
It
work.
seemed like in that moment is when you kind of like took the power back. Like, I got
They never
this.
had it.
Well, they never had it. But
it
I'm
was
just saying
like,
by the fact that when you
but it was
failed,
like I came into that meeting and I was in there and I was like, oh, they don't think I'm smart.
Yeah.
Like because they were talking to me, they pulling out stats and like they don't think I'm smart. It's like that's what I said. They don't think I'm smart. I was like, okay. And that's like they don't even care. And they could call me Brian. I was like, y'all don't even know me.
Yeah.
I was like, y'all telling me stuff, y'all don't even know who I am. Y'all ain't take the time to even ask me.
They don't
like
care
they don't even care. So I was like, all right, I'm not worried about y'all. Like y'all talk whatever y'all want to say, whatever you want to say. And so then not only was my goal to succeed, but my goal was to make sure my homeboys behind me didn't go through the same crap.
Yeah.
So the people who were behind me in medical school, the black people, I was like, I'm gonna make sure that they don't fall in the same trap that I fell into, that they don't have the same growth that I had. So that's where I took my energy too. And was like, okay, now I'm gonna pass. So I'll make sure my two best friends, my homeboys from undergrad, my sisters from undergrad, my people who are black who are behind me, they not gonna have the same problem. We gonna fix this. We're not gonna have this be a perpetual thing.
Okay.
Because they didn't care whether or not we made it or not. So that was kind of my thing. Was like, nah, we gonna make sure nobody had no more problems with nobody while I'm here.
Definitely.
And they didn't.
And so now, looking back at all that, what would you say, what would you say probably maybe, because what would you say maybe been your hardest part? Would that be that, or what would, or just being married with a child? Like,
The hardest part was actually when I was, this kind of goes back to my hardest part was when my wife had her incidents and I didn't think she was going to make it. That was harder for me than me.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I'm more
yeah.
worried about her
Yeah.
than it was for me. Like,
That's
I
what
was,
a real man does.
I was like, and the happiest moment was when I found out she was going to. It wasn't me passing.
Okay.
It was when I found out she was good.
Yeah.
That was my happiest moment. Like, that's top 10 happened in my life. I ran around the yard for 15 minutes, man.
but you know what's, y'all both went through the exact same thing as far as like, cause y'all went through the same schools, y'all went to the same doctor, y'all do the same work as far as a doctor.
Yeah.
So y'all went through every step together, man. That's amazing, man.
Yeah,
And came out successful and still together, like, and with children.
Yeah.
Man, you don't hear about that like that.
Yeah, man. It's a blessing.
That's different, man.
Yeah, it's a blessing,
That's something
man.
like the world. I hope our listeners, if like, comment, share, if y'all hear something that he said that resonated with y'all, please put it in the comments. But I mean, I just want to applaud that and just want to shout out everybody out there that's married and really about their marriage, not just married to say, yeah, I got a husband, yeah, I got a wife. No, redoing this together, like we really doing it. And that's what I hear from your story. Like,
absolutely.
we together, we a item, we
Yeah.
a team. You
Oh,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
this is us. We gonna do like I can just see the being in college and their encouragement. Like, don't worry, baby, you might have
Yeah.
flunked, but you gonna make it. I
Yeah.
got your back. Like to hear that,
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
Popeye eating his spinach.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? Like
Absolutely,
it's
man.
good to have that encouragement, and you doing the same for her. Like,
Yeah.
how can I feel?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I can't.
Yeah.
I got
And she,
this.
you know, she go through medical school pregnant. You know what I'm saying?
I can't have no excuses.
Yeah. You know what I'm
And
saying?
because all the different things that's going on in her body's
Yeah,
changing. That's
yeah.
going to affect her mentally, and it's shit.
Yeah, man.
You can have no excuses.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's that's just beautiful. I don't even know what else to say, but that's beautiful.
Appreciate
Like,
it.
what you think about that, son?
I think that like the whole part about him and her having a baby in college and him failing the test, like, I mean, when you say that he can't have nothing to say because what she going through, I was thinking about how her being how tall she was or how
All right.
yeah, and having a baby too, and still like having to work
Yeah,
and go
man.
through the you know the
Rotations and
yeah,
everything.
the rotations
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all that, and
yeah.
people just looking like you
Yeah.
know.
Like
Yeah.
she ain't gonna
And then
make
it's back
some
in the
crack.
day.
Yeah, this is early
yeah.
2000s. It's early 2000s.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, people doubting the fact that
Oh,
when
yeah.
you get pregnant in school, in any college,
Yeah.
people tend to
Yeah.
think that you're going to drop out because you
Yeah,
can't
well,
take
you
on
know,
the responsibility.
yeah, she did it, but she
Yeah.
did it. Yeah, she, you know,
Yeah.
she did it in medical school, and she, you know, she graduated, and you know,
Yeah, man.
yeah, just the memory popped up on my phone was like graduation, like medical school, like me, her holding the baby. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, man,
Ain't that something?
yeah.
Graduating together. So what did y'all do to celebrate after y'all both finished? Did y'all do anything
man,
big or special? Y'all
Nah,
just
we were
went-
broke, man. We,
Yeah, yeah. It was the beginning.
we
It
were
was the
broke.
beginning,
Yeah, no, man, we were broke. We were
Have
just
y'all
happy to
ever
make
thought
it.
about renewing your vows, or is something y'all already done? Or y'all just
No,
like, you
I
know
don't
what?
think that's probably not us.
Yeah,
I think you know, we celebrate. You know, we got our 20th anniversary coming up this year. So
The time that y'all been together is a celebration.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because you gotta think. You know how many people all the time that you've been married? How many people got married and divorced?
Oh yeah.
You
yeah.
probably know some.
Yeah, I know a lot.
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You
yeah.
probably know some that got divorced and remarried,
Yeah,
and
we-
you still married. You like, man, you on your 7th girlfriend.
Yeah, nah, we crossed it. We about a year or so ago, we crossed that point where we've been together over half our lives.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I'm 44, almost 45. We've been together since 2000, so we've been together 24 years. So half my life I've been with her. You know what I'm saying? So it's yeah.
Give us some advice on, especially on being married for so long. Like, if you can say anything that can help people out there that in their relationship to keep that marriage going
Yeah.
for that long, what would
Yeah.
you say to us?
Don't be afraid to have difficult conversations. Know that you got to trust your partner when having those conversations. You got to trust that person has your best interest in mind. And there's a level, you know, to be vulnerable to your spouse, you have to trust that they're going to be that they're going to take that with some care and consideration. So, you know, and you should never repeat the same argument twice, man. Like, you know, and I'm saying that to say, like, you know, if there's an issue, you should resolve it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You should resolve it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got some little, you know, like, we don't bring up old stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But it's also a matter of, like, I'm not going to bring up old stuff,
Yeah.
right? But I'm also going to make sure that if you decide to bring up something to me, I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, you know, we got a couple of things like we've learned this over decades. You know, like it's not my job to determine whether or not you should feel a certain way. Like if something happens, you like, yo, you made me feel this way.
Yeah.
I can't be like, no, you shouldn't have felt that way.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, if you felt
It's
that
not
way,
fair.
yeah, if you felt that way, then okay, then that's I'll take you for. I'm not. You're not going to. I trust you not to abuse that.
Yeah.
That privilege.
Yeah.
Of saying that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna listen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've gotten to that point where, you know, I think I had a friend tell me like, you know, arguments or disagreements, they're mostly just misunderstandings.
Yeah.
And like little rungs on a ladder. And so if you have a disagreement or misunderstanding, don't be afraid to listen. Don't be afraid to say you're sorry. You don't have to win an argument. There's nobody wins an argument.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And you just you just keep moving, you know, and don't repeat the same thing twice.
And I loved it when you said we don't bring up the past because the past no longer exists.
Yeah.
Unless you give it life.
Well, but it's also assuming that you don't have to bring the past if you take care
If
of
you
it real
took care of
time.
it. Of course,
Right. So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like, so, because what happened, you know, when we were younger,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I may have done something to offend her on Monday, not realizing I offended her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She may be mad at me, and then has acted on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday in a manner that she's mad at me.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday we have, so I'm thinking I'm good.
Yeah.
She hasn't told me anything,
Yeah.
but she's acting different towards me.
Yeah.
And so then, like Wednesday, Thursday, she finally said out. I was like, well, you could have brought that up on Monday.
Yeah.
Now it's my responsibility
Yeah.
that when she brings up on Monday, that I listen,
Yeah.
that I hear where she's coming from.
Yeah.
I don't have to try to prove her wrong or win an argument.
Yeah.
And then now we good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Definitely.
so you have to have both ways. Like she has to trust me enough to bring it up in real time, and have to be mature enough to be able to take criticism and take that I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no problem saying I'm sorry. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I ain't got no problem with like, my bad. You right. You good. You know, I walk away fine. You know what I'm saying? That took some time, but that's, you know, that's a whole nother podcast right there. But
We gonna come back.
Yeah, but
We get to the end, and I want you back, man, because I ain't gonna lie. I've been married 12 years. Well, this year be 12 years.
yeah.
And I've learned something from it.
Yeah.
I honestly have, and I appreciate you sharing with us because, like I said, we all can learn something from people and their story. And man, you really got me thinking about a lot of different stuff because it's very important that for us, anybody that's married or potentially about to be married, to understand what it is to be in a relationship.
Yeah, man.
And not being selfish. I know me for a fact. I have been selfish even when I didn't know I was being selfish. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
When you don't see yourself
Yeah, man.
the way the other person sees
We talk
you.
a lot about blind spots. That's
Yeah.
our, you know, we talk a lot about at our that's what I had to learn about.
Yeah.
Was blind spots. Like you think you good,
Yeah.
but you're not. And you have blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
And by definition, a blind spot is something you don't know.
Yeah.
So if somebody brings it up to you, of course you're gonna be like, I don't do that. No, because you didn't know you were doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be able to be mature enough to be like, I'm just gonna listen.
Yeah.
And hear what she says. Like I'm not gonna argue whether or not you feel valid. You're valid in saying what you're saying. You saying you're saying that, I'll take that face value. You're saying I'm doing this, I know I was doing this. Okay, let's explore this further. When am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Am I doing this? And so then you kind of start, you know,
Breaks it down.
right.
Yeah.
And you also, because you're going to pick up, if you have to do it as a man, you have to do it first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you want to then express to your wife
Yeah.
about maybe a blind spot she has,
Yeah.
she's got to kind of, in my experience, you have to set the example of how you want her to respond to that type of conversation about how you react.
Yeah.
So you can't expect somebody to react differently than you would react.
Yeah.
So if you come to your wife with, I really would like for you to do this, and she's like, well, you know, and then you're like, well, if you do the same thing, why do you think she should do anything differently? So you kind of have to. And our marriage works in a way, and I didn't figure this out when I was 20, you know what I mean? But it took a while, you know what I'm saying? But
But
it
the
was
fact
like,
that
but it was,
you were willing to learn.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, even if you did have a handbook to marriage, it's not going to work the way the handbook
Yeah.
says it is.
And
You
every marriage
have to
is
go
different.
through the experience.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to. You know, you have to be willing to be okay with. Like I said, nobody. It's not a power struggle.
Yeah.
If you pick the right woman, if you pick the right person to be with, and y'all are, you know, you said the vows and you said all the stuff and you believe what you said, then that's what the journey is.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? The journey is having the hard conversations, having the times when you're like, yo, I'm in the wrong.
Yeah.
You know, or am I in the wrong? Like, just come to, hey, yo, you know, like I come to my wife a couple times, like, look, open table, what's going on? What's fire it? What am I doing? What are the things I'm doing wrong that I don't know you're doing wrong that's bugging you now that I don't want to become a big,
how
small
can
issues
you
becoming
better?
big issues.
Yeah. How can I get better if I don't know?
Right.
I need to know so I
Yeah.
can work on
But
this.
you gotta be willing to be that.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh. Well, we coming to an end.
We done changed
but-
the whole podcast.
Oh man, no, this is we having a part
Yeah,
two because
yeah.
we need this though. Like we need this in our
Yeah.
communities and our families. Like our children.
Yeah.
I mean, we need this. We need to see that. We need
Yeah.
to understand what it is to be a family and
Oh,
the
yeah.
difficulties that we will go through as a family. Doesn't mean that we have to run away from it. Because
Nah.
no matter who you with, I don't care who you with, you're going to have to overcome something.
Exactly.
And so you might as well stay where you at, where you're already building a foundation.
Right.
If it's worth building, and continue to just try to build off of that positive that got you there in the first place.
True.
You know?
Yeah,
So
man.
you want to say something, son, before we go?
I definitely think that I don't know about. He said he wouldn't see his story in a book, but honestly, man, the way was talk about it and the way you described it and how y'all even what you went through in school, the both of y'all in school as well, like that's a whole scene. I can
That's
see
a
the
movie.
the start of the story, the middle, the climax, all
Yeah.
that, bro. You should really think about
I
it.
got something to think
Yeah.
about now. I got
Yeah.
some. Now I got something to think about. I guess.
Yeah, no, for
yeah.
real.
Yeah, now I got something to think about.
And I just want to say, man, like, I really appreciate you.
Oh, no problem, bro.
Taking your time out, because you could have been anywhere, but you chose to give me and my
yeah.
son the opportunity
Yeah,
to pick
absolutely,
your
man.
brain and talk about your life, and it means a lot to us.
Oh, no
And
problem,
we
man.
appreciate it, and we definitely want you to come back. And I want to talk about family and marriage. Like, I really want to touch that subject.
Let's do
and
it.
I feel like you would be the perfect person to have that conversation with.
Let's do
and
it.
I'll be honored to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, family, we come to the end, and I just want to say thank you to our guests and thank you to the public and everybody watching the podcast. We appreciate you. Like, share, and comment,
Subscribe.
and subscribe. Peace and love. Take care.
All right, man.